What's good? It's Woog. I just wrapped up Dimitri Bivol versus Gilberto ZURDO Ramirez. Dimitri Bivol won the fight 9 rounds to 3 according to 2 judges, and then the third judge had it 10 rounds to 2. I think Dimitri Bivol pretty much exceeded just about all expectations. I think that, most of us thought that Dimitri Bivol would pull off the victory. I presume that most of us thought that it would be closer to a 8 rounds to 4, 7 rounds to 5 type of fight, rather than I thought that 10 rounds to 2 was probably the most accurate score. I think that in order to arrive at 9 rounds to 3, you would have to kind of generously give Gilberto Ramirez a third round. I think that he might have won 2 rounds earlier in the fight. I'm talking maybe rounds 2 and 3. And, it was looking like, wait a second, let's see how Dimitri Bivol is going to handle the size and the, kind of the pressure that Gilberto Ramirez was applying in those first 2 of 3 rounds. Well, by the 4th round, it looked like Dimitri Bivol had reasserted the pressure that he was applying to Ramirez. So, in the first round, I thought that it was Dimitri Bivol looking to pressure and successfully, or at least effectively pressuring. And then I thought Gilberto Ramirez applied the pressure in rounds 2 and 3, and it was kind of like, okay, now we see Bivol, if not getting backed up, at least we see ZURDO Ramirez standing his ground to where he's not ceding any of the real estate as Dimitri Bivol's looking to, come forward and to look for his opportunities to land combinations. And then again, after the second and third round, it looked like from that point on, Dimitri Bivol was more or less in control, and I thought won just about every round beyond that point. It was a very impressive performance. And yes, it does kind of, it makes you kind of, question the legitimacy of Gilberto Ramirez's, the standing that he had. Like, a lot of people thought that he might be like an elite fighter. Yes, his record would indicate so, but he did have a lot of fights in Mexico, more regional fights, to kind of pad his record in the first half of his career. So when you couple that with his opponent quality, especially at 175, it just makes you kind of rethink, okay, maybe Gilberto Ramirez isn't as good as we thought he was, or maybe Dimitri Bivol is better still than we thought that he was, even after his performance against Canelo Alvarez. Again, the very ambitious Canelo Alvarez, who was looking to conquer the 175-pound division after he successfully did so at 168. But Dimitri Bivol, man, everything from his range control, and even his grittiness in this case, like, he was kind of taking the fight to Gilberto Ramirez for much of the fight. And yes, he was cautiously doing so. And I was surprised at how well he was able to put his lead left hand, his probe hand, if you will, out there, leave it out there, and for Gilberto Ramirez to allow him to do that, and then to use that to measure his subsequent right hand. I didn't picture Gilberto Ramirez playing beta in the ring to that degree, to where, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought that, ZURDO prided himself on being a back foot style fighter. Like, that's kind of where this fight kind of materialized, to where you didn't see as much of ZURDO insisting that he come forward and demanding that this become, a firefight. It looked like ZURDO Ramirez was as, chess match oriented by the 4th, 5th, 6th round and beyond as Dimitri Bivol. And again, Dimitri Bivol wasn't playing chess. I mean, he's always fighting intelligently. He's always, moving laterally after he lets combinations go to kind of sidestep and perhaps look for another combination to let go. Like, he looks like he's always on and always thinking. Gilberto Ramirez seemed like he was more or less kind of acquiescing to the likelihood of a decision loss by the middle rounds. And I didn't think that we would get to that point so early in the fight. But yeah, Dimitri Bivol, to his credit, took control of this one, and he really put on a masterclass. Like, this was a very good performance for Dimitri Bivol, one of the best of his career. Like, you would have to put it up there with his performance against Canelo Alvarez, his performances against, Jean Pascal and Joe Smith Jr. Like, this was top-notch Dmitry Bivol, and he mixed up the sweet science aspects with some of the more violent aspects where he's looking to let more punches go. And he's always pretty high volume. That's kind of the rarity in Dmitry Bivol, is that as sweet science as he is, he's also high volume, but he's also, you know, high movement. So he's throwing a lot of punches, but he's moving, but he's not moving in a way where it looks like he's avoiding the fighter. Like, it's not like he's working the perimeter of the ring and trying to like buy time and to, you know, look to lessen the action in the fight and lessen the exchanges. It's not that type of movement. It's more like, it's not quite Lomachenko-Usyk like, but he is applying pressure and he's letting his combinations go and then using the movement to kind of facilitate more offense, or at least more offense coupled with the control over dictating the terms of the exchange. But he was also catching ZURDO whenever ZURDO would put his foot on the gas. So that, to me, was one of the reasons why ZURDO stopped kind of going front foot heavy towards Dmitry Bivol, is because Dmitry Bivol was kind of making him pay for much of that forward movement. So yeah, this was really a testament to how good Dmitry Bivol is. And, you know, I really hope, I just hope, especially in the light of Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford not being made, I really hope that we get Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, the belt holder for the other 3 belts in the division. I hope we get that fight before it's too late, before Beterbiev is like 39 years old, because he's already 37 years old, or is he already 38 years old? He's one of the two, but the clock is really ticking on this one. This one I hope happens in the first half of 2023. And you could hear Dmitry Bivol kind of like tongue-in-cheek pleading with his team to get this one done. He's making it very clear what matters to him. So, and he's telling you after the fight, in the in-ring post-fight interview, that I'm not the only one. I'm not the one making the decision here. I'm only the fighter, basically, and it's a big team, and there are a lot of people's, you know, demands that need to be met. There are a lot of parties involved, and we have to go with the option that's best for everybody. It's how he was phrasing it, but he did not mince words in declaring that what he wants is not the fight with Canelo, not the rematch with Canelo. It is the fight for undisputed against Artur Beterbiev. So we'll see if that Eddie Hearn coupled with Top Rank fight gets made sooner rather than later. I know that Beterbiev has the upcoming fight with Anthony Yarde, and I'm going to assume, even though Anthony Yarde is a very dangerous puncher, very heavy-handed hitter, that Artur Beterbiev will come out on top in that one. Yes, we will do a preview. Yes, I will look a lot closer in analyzing the matchup, but Artur Beterbiev, after I saw what he did with Joe Smith, I did not expect him to handle Joe Smith Jr. in the way that he did. Like, that performance never gets old to me. No, that wasn't the fight of the year, but that certainly is one of the performances of 2022. You've got to put it up there. The way and the ease to which he handled Joe Smith Jr., where he just hurt him time and time again, and he closed the show within a couple of rounds. That was remarkable. So yeah, I mean, boxing fans, are we not just salivating at the idea of Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol? Like, we have known for a few years now that these were the 2 best fighters in the division, in the, you know, the post Adonis Stevenson, Sergey Kovalev, and then Andre Ward era. Yes, there was Alexander Gvozdyk for some time. He was the one who eventually dethroned Adonis Stevenson. But once Beterbiev beat Gvozdyk, then that kind of like paved the path to the inevitable, or we would hope inevitable, collision course between Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. So I'm just hoping that they get that done. And I hope that it's Beterbiev's very next fight after his fight against Anthony Yarde, assuming, again, Anthony Yarde does not pull off the upset. But Dmitry Bivol took care of business. This was seen to be a very dangerous opponent for him. And yes, we are going to Monday morning quarterback this one. Yes, hindsight will be 2020. And yes, as time goes on, we will lose perspective on how unexpected this level of performance was from Dmitry Bivol, to where he would pull off a 10 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 3 type of performance against somebody the caliber of ZURDO Ramirez. Yes, after the fact and as time goes on, we're going to be like, oh, this was supposed to happen. But yes, Dimitri Bivol was a notable betting favorite. But as we were looking at the fight, as the mainstream boxing media and then the boxing channels on YouTube were analyzing the fight, most were coming out with Dimitri Bivol edging a fight or winning by 1 or 2 rounds against ZURDO Ramirez. Not this near blowout that we got today. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this Dimitri Bivol versus Gilberto ZURDO Ramirez fight. Like, who did you think was going to win? And did this fight play out the way that you thought it was going to play out? Like, I had people in my comments after the preview for this fight, saying this is a 50-50 fight. There were a lot of people who thought that ZURDO had a good chance at winning this one. It looked evident by the 5th, 6th, 7th round that, nah, that's not the case. Dimitri Bivol is in another class. And, you saw him pretty much standing in range and looking very comfortable. Like, even when you look at the replay, I saw a lot of punches that ZURDO was throwing. And, I mean, ZURDO was just unable to get a lot going. He wasn't able to get that straight left hand to the body. His straight left hand actually looked a little bit clumsy. Like, he looked like he wasn't comfortable throwing the left hand repeatedly. But sometimes when he would throw a power punch, it would miss Bivol by this much, and Bivol would either slip it or it would be just out of range. And Bivol, again, a master of range and distance. And sometimes Bivol would not even blink when he would, encounter a near miss from a ZURDO punch. And that just shows you how dialed in the guy is. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, just fight over fight. I remember, Dimitri Bivol fighting on those Sergey Kovalev undercards, but he has just continued to impress year after year, fight after fight. I know he hit that post-COVID lull where he was inactive for some time and had those less than spectacular performances against Craig Richards and Salamov. But boy, since then, he's looked like $1 million in the ring. But please, let me know what you thought about this one in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.